Hi there, I'm Karen Strang Allen, a love and empowerment coach for single women. And I thought I'd pop on here today and talk about being single over the holidays. Because let's face it, many of us kind of resist the idea of being alone during a special time of year. And I know I sure did when I first became single, when my ex and I first split up, and it was just me and a couple young kids, all the responsibility for decorating and cooking and buying presents and wrapping them and being Santa Claus and all that fell on my shoulders. So there was a lot of obligation and a lot of work, but there wasn't a whole lot of energy coming back to me in terms of gifts or people, adults to talk to or that kind of thing. So the first few Christmases for me felt quite lonely. And I remember after a couple of those, I said to myself, okay, enough. I don't want to go through another Christmas where I'm dreading the holidays and trying to just fast forward through an entire month of my life, wanting to get through December as quickly as possible. I want to find a way to enjoy it. And I've certainly discovered that, shifting how we feel starts by acknowledging it. So if this is your first Christmas alone, if you recently lost somebody that you care about, if you're struggling, being a single parent to young kids, if you just find it hard, or if COVID has separated you and other people that you normally would spend time with, it's important to acknowledge that that feels difficult, right? And that it can be hard to not have it be the way we want it to be. And if that's you, then I encourage you to start by, I'll share in the comments, I'll share a blog post that I wrote a year ago about when Christmas doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to be. And that might help you work through some of the feelings that you're having. But let's say you're like, okay, I've done this before. I'm tired of Christmas, not feeling the way I want it to feel. I want to shift how I'm feeling. So a lot about how we feel depends on what we're focusing on. So if we're focusing on what's not right about Christmas, or who is missing, who's not here that we want to have here, like the partner is not here or certain family members aren't here, it's automatically going to cause us to feel bad. So for me, my dad passed away in September and I'm missing him. I'm noticing that we're not going to FaceTime with him this year. We're not going to, talk to him on the phone. He's not going to send Christmas presents to my kids. I'm not going to send Christmas presents to him. I was baking the other day and came across a recipe for donuts that my dad loved donuts. My mom used to always make donuts at Christmas for him. And we had made them for him one year when he came up. And it just kind of, hit me a little bit. So if I focus on that, if I focus on the fact that my dad isn't here, I'm not going to feel good. I'm going to feel sad. And that isn't how I want to feel. So, so let's talk about, I'm going to give you 5 power questions to help you shift how you're feeling about approaching the holidays so that you can make these holidays actually really good, even if you're single. So the first question is, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel at Christmas? And for me, words like warm and cozy, loved, appreciated, magical, those are some words that come to mind for me for how I like to feel at Christmas. And then when you've identified how it is you want to feel, then you can ask yourself the second power question, which is, how can you create that feeling this year? So when I think of warm and cozy, I think of lighting candles. So I just got some new candles because I was out, lighting a fireplace, wrapping up in soft, fluffy blankets. There's an amazing blanket that I got last year that I just love that makes me feel warm and cozy. Having, hot chocolate, warm tea, apple cider. Those are all kind of warm and cozy things. In terms of feeling magical, I do decorating with my kids, Christmas trees and put lots of, every year I'm buying more lights because I like the sparkling effect. I like that kind of magical feeling that it gives me. So those are just some examples for you. You have to identify what Christmas is to you. You may not even want to do a tree. That's okay. What is it? What do you want it to feel like? And how can you create that? The third power question is, who can you celebrate with? So, okay, you don't have the partner, but who else can you celebrate with? So for me, I have my kids part of the time. I can celebrate with them. And I always host a Christmas party. I'm going to be hosting one coming up with my friends. And I'm feeling super blessed that I get to do that again this year, because last year I couldn't, right? Because of the COVID restrictions. So this year it's going to be a smaller group because I have to be conscious of numbers. But at least I get to have some friends over for a Christmas party. And I've hosted Christmas dinners and stuff like that with friends as well, because I didn't want to be the only adult there. I wanted to have some adults to celebrate with. So being the one to host things can be a good way of doing that, or going to somebody else's house who's hosting. The fourth question is, how can you take your favorite Christmas traditions and adapt them? So again, maybe you can't do certain things with a partner or certain family members are missing, but how can you adapt it? So um, I felt I would get tired with doing all the Christmas. I do Christmas baking, I do Christmas cooking, I host a party, I do the decorating and everything, and I felt like that was a lot for me. But now my kids are old enough, they're 14 and 16, that they can pitch in and help. So this tree was decorated by them. And even putting the tree up and doing the lights, my son is old enough that he can do that. So I enlist their help, and we all bake together and we cook together. So that makes the process more enjoyable for me instead of it feeling like a big giant chore. But let's say you like having a turkey dinner and you don't want to cook, because cooking, let's say it's just you and one or two kids, and you don't feel like doing a big meal. There's lots of restaurants that you can order a complete meal cook kit and either cook it yourself or it's pre-cooked. Lots of places do that. So that's an option, or again, going to somebody else's place. So you're taking the things that you really like about Christmas and you're finding a way to adapt to the circumstances you're currently in. And then the fifth question is, what new traditions can you add? So the kids and I still do most of the things that we did when we were a family of four, but we have added new traditions. So we've added going for a drive to see all the pretty Christmas lights at Christmas. We've added going for a skate. There's a place near where we live that has a really beautiful trail through the woods that you can skate on. So we now do that every year. We will usually over the holidays go downhill skiing at least once. And then a tradition for me that I created was I typically take a spa day over the holidays, a day just for me to unwind after the busyness of Christmas and typically a hectic year as a business owner. I take a full day that's just for me. So those are some examples of adding new traditions in that I didn't used to do when I had a partner. And with all of this, so those 5 questions should help you start to shift towards creating the Christmas and the holidays that you actually want to have. Another thing to consider is there's an actual upside to being single. It isn't all bad. There's actually some really great things that can happen when you have more time and space to yourself, when you can care for your physical needs. You're not running from one house to the next and splitting your time between different families and trying to please everybody and trying to be on your best behavior in front of certain relatives you don't even really necessarily like. So when you're single, you get to really call the shots. How do you want the holidays to be? If you want to be in your PJs for 5 days in a row and watch, holiday movies on Netflix, fill your boots, right? You really do get to choose. You have more freedom to make those decisions than you do when you're in a couple and they're like, well, no, it's really important to me that you come and see my Aunt Molly, even though you can't stand her. So you really do have more freedom to decide how you want it to be. And you can either hang out at home if that feels good to you, or you can go and party with other singles. There's lots of meetup events that happen around this time of year. You might get invites to other friends' parties. And the holidays actually can be a really good time to meet a potential partner if that's what you're looking for and if that's what you're ready for, because there's a lot of people who are wanting connection at this time of year. So it can be a good time. There tends to be a lot of people statistically online over the holidays on dating apps and things like that. So it's not all bad, right? And you get to decide, what do you want your holidays to be? So don't just go into them with the default of, I'm single, I'm alone, it sucks. There's lots of single people who enjoy the holidays. I would actually say now, once I move through my resistance, once I move through that initial, I don't want to be alone over the holidays, and just accepted that, okay, this is, I am. So how can I not only make the best of this, but actually turn this into an opportunity to really create the Christmas and the holidays I want? I actually found that my holidays became better as a single person than they were in a couple, because I give myself permission to do what feels right to me instead of feeling obligated to do what everybody else wants me to do. And there's real freedom in that. And there's a real ability to create a magical time that is based on your needs, your values, your wants, right? So I encourage you to ask yourself those questions and see what you can come up with to make this year really special for you. Being single over the holidays does not have to suck. It can actually be a really great and wonderful and magical time. And that is what I wish for you. And that's it for me tonight. So I hope this has given you some ideas and that you have a lovely holiday season. Bye for now.